Welcome to 100 Voices, 100 Stories. I'm your host, Cece. Every person has a story, and it all begins with you. Let's meet today's guest.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Cece with Where It Begins and Cece in the City. I have a special guest on the line with me today. I'm gonna let her introduce herself of who she is, what she does, and where she's from.
Hi, I'm Chloe Madison. I am a singer and an actress, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario.
Awesome. And I'm doing 50 states and traveling the world. What do you love about where you live, and what's one thing I must see there?
You know what? I just love how multicultural and diverse we are as a city. I think there's just so many different types of experiences all in like the same neighborhoods. And I think, I don't know, just our downtown core in the city when it's warm, especially in the summer, it just has such life to it. And I think it's such like a fun experience and just a fun place to be. We like hibernate like 70% of the year, and then when the sun's out, we're all out and it's so much fun.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait to actually go there and visit. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do. What
Well,
got you into that? What's your motivation?
I mean, honestly, since I was a kid, I've always just loved telling stories and creating my own little worlds. And, I've always been better at expressing myself through art as opposed to naturally in person, I believe. So I've always created, and I think I started wanting to do music when I was very young. I've entered more into acting, and I love it so much. But I've just kind of found my way back to myself and my own voice and just creating my own little universe as opposed to participating in everyone else's, which I still love doing. But I also just like creating my own as well.
Okay, so how do you get the motivation for your music?
I think for me, it's a lot of it is very therapeutic and just for me, it's expression, it's getting something out. I feel like it's how I process a lot of things. And for me, having a creative outlet is just so important. I feel like to my mental health, I feel like it's really how I process trauma and good things and bad things and everything I've kind of been through and everything I honestly just experience on a daily basis.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's talk about this single, Airplane Mode, and the motivation behind the song.
Airplane mode to me was very much the song itself is very much about as a woman playing a role for a man, and sometimes in a good way and sometimes in a bad way. Sometimes we have the power, sometimes they have the power. And, whether it's professional or in a relationship or as an actress or, in a way that you don't necessarily want to. I think for me, the whole song is really about playing into a fantasy, whether it's your fantasy or somebody else's.
Okay. Ins- So that inspiration song for you for Airplane Mode is just like, are you touring for it right now?
Well, this is my first single for my upcoming EP, which will be coming out in August. I
Okay.
have my first live performance on the 21st. We're gonna kind of see how things play out. I'm also wrapping on a TV show, so it's gonna depend on scheduling and what happens with my team.
Okay. And can you talk about that TV show?
Yeah, of course. So it's called Two Brothers. I've been cast in season three. My character's name is Carla, and she's a little bit of a bad girl, but there's a lot of layers there, and I can't say too much, but I really loved exploring her and finding depth within the situations that presented itself with her, and it was fun. I feel like I got to really tap into older, maybe unhealed versions of me to play her, and I think it was just such a gift, to be completely honest. And the creator, Andrew, he's amazing, and I trust him with my life. So I'm very excited.
Awesome, and congratulations. And what are some of the other roles that you have played in?
I mean, I've been in Cabinet of Curiosities, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I was
Mhm.
in that. That was so much fun. Working with Katie and Dan Stevens was such a dream. I love horror, so that's like definitely a genre I want to explore more. I was in The Boys and Gen V, and I've created some of my own. I just dropped Ophelia on my YouTube channel, and it's kind of going viral right now, which is a little unexpected. And so yeah, I've just been creating my own version of characters. A lot of what I've played so far has been very specific and very geared towards my aesthetic. So that's what I really liked about Carla. I feel like I got to dive a little deeper.
Awesome, awesome, and congratulations on all that. But
Yeah.
going back to your single, what does airplane mode mean to you? What does it represent in your life?
Airplane mode is it's kind of just disconnecting and disassociating into into a fantasy, into your own little world, into a world of someone else's making. I think the whole point was to completely check out so you can check in somewhere else.
Okay. And how has acting influenced the way you tell stories in your music?
I think for me, I got into modeling for a bit first and finding my
Mhm.
way to acting and finding more of a voice and being a little more active in a way that's creative and as opposed to me kind of just being pretty, respectfully. I think it allows me to it's just allowed me to process things different and understand different characters and process things I've gone through people that maybe would make very different choices. And I think it also just kind of expands your brain as to how other people would deal with things and how other people will perceive things. And it's just allowed me to really dive in. Obviously, I think you develop a bond with the characters you play and you love them even with their faults. And I think that's kind of allowed me to give myself the same kind of grace and love, and which is like great.
Well, that's a good thing. And how did you get into modeling?
I I got scouted by Playboy when I was really young. Sorry, I'm
Okay.
losing my voice from performing. And I did that for a bit and I did some international ones and I went to the States and I did some fashion and it was fun and it was a really good stepping stone. But I got scouted for a movie and I got flown back to Canada and the rest was kind of history.
Okay. And how was that experience?
I had a very respectful team. The management team that I was working with and the man that scouted me at the time, it allowed me to find a different level of confidence I don't think I had. I didn't
Mm.
grow up in a situation where things were very good or very handed to me. It was very me, myself, and I. And I think it definitely gave me a little bit of stability and safety. And it allowed me to find a voice in a way that I didn't necessarily have, just because you have to be confident to do something like that confidently, as well as still standing up within your boundaries and making sure you're taken care of. So I think it just allowed me to grow as a person as a whole.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But listening to you, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
I would say strong, loyal, and maybe survival. I don't know.
Oh.
I think there's so many layers to like stuff to stick yourself in 3 words is very hard. I think I'm a little too layered for that.
But those are 3 good ones, though.
Thank
Those
you.
are really 3 good ones to go by. And getting to know you a little bit better. What is one quote that you live by? I ask all of my interviewers that.
I have this one quote. It's kind of adapted from a Bible verse, but I actually have it tattooed down my spine, and it's just recalibrated into your story is not over yet. You'll soon laugh in places you once cried. And to me,
Mm.
that's always resonated. I think I'm very sentimental and I always like to create a good memory somewhere. I had a bad memory. I think you're really in charge of your own story. And I think you can't let the bad things define you. You have to recalibrate them. And that kind of becomes your superpower.
Okay. All right. Good. But you do have an upcoming album. It's called the Chloe Madison Experience. Congratulations on your album. So let's talk about the album and the motivation behind this album that's coming up.
Yeah, I think for me, I went in with my producer. He's amazing. I love him so much. I went in assuming it was going to be one thing, and I had this presentation of very like bad girl pop, like let's go, like Pussycat Doll situation. And, it just really formed into something a little bit more raw and a little bit more authentic. And I think as much as I'm outwardly very sexualized and fun and cunty and bad girl, I think there's so much like rawness and realness and it's just about love and it's about just the story that you kind of create with what you're venturing into and wanting to be accepted and wanting to be loved and wanting to give that to somebody but also being in control. And I think that can kind of come with a little bit of like a dangerous side to things because it's always cat and mouse until you're caught. And I think love's a game and you kind of have to play it, but sometimes it's negative and sometimes it's positive.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait to hear the album. I know you're excited about that. Is this going to be a tour for this album also?
I'm honestly hoping so. It's just going to really depend on the acting schedule, but I'd like to, even if it's a smaller one, I would like to get out there and, mingle with new people, make new fans, and, kind of curate with other artists. And I think that would be I think that's so important as an artist. I think you kind of have to go out there and pound the pavement. We live in such a social media dominated society. And I do think that, like, that's just such a way to have like an authentic experience with real people in real time.
Okay. But for people that is just hearing your music for the first time, what's one song that you would recommend they listen to first to get to know who you are?
I'm probably gonna have to listen to Airplane Mode first because it comes out. This is honestly my first real single. So it will be that one. And honestly, I really love Airplane Mode, but I think my favorite song on the album might be called Sunday Morning. So I definitely recommend checking out that one when the whole album's out.
Okay, so since you said Sunday morning, that is funny because I ask every interviewer this. They have to give a question. So my last interviewer had to give a question. They don't know who you are or
Okay.
anything like that. They just give me a question to ask the next interviewer, and then you give me a question to ask the interviewer behind you. Since I'm
Okay.
doing the 100, so the person that I interviewed before you, their question to you was, "What's your favorite thing to do on a Sunday afternoon?" So when you said Sunday, I said, "Oh, this is the right question to ask you," because their question came into that.
Oh, that's so kismet. That's the universe doing its thing.
Yes, yes.
No, I love that. I mean, probably not what that song entails, but actually maybe. I think, for me, Sunday is like a big reset day, and for me, that's like a day where I like to just clean and reset the whole week with my intentions and just kind of get everything started. I feel like for me that's really like a loungy, chill day. If you have a partner or a best friend, I think it's like the perfect day to spend with them.
Yes, yes. And I do that on Sundays too. My Sundays are very relaxed days, much chill days, much clean days, music days. So I
I say
get that.
that, but
But
someone always makes me go out on a Sunday and then I'm hungover on Monday and it's not fun.
but I had to throw that question in since you said that. But let's go back to the Sunday song. Why is that your favorite song?
It's so sexy, but it's so deep. And it's like, I think that song really presents how I present. I think even when I'm emotional, I make jokes and you kind of lean more into the fantasy of things to kind of protect yourself. And I don't want to say the word because I don't want to cuss, but essentially the song is, I know you'll sleep with me Saturday night, but will you still love me Sunday morning?
Oh,
So
I
it's
like
kind
that.
of about that. And, I talk about it, it's like, it's not me. I the current partner and then I talk about my ex in there and I think you kind of sometimes when you're worried about someone loving you properly you throw out little jabs like you having other options or how the situation is or how you'd play with it to protect yourself, and I think that song very much toes the line between the two, and I think it represents perfectly like the juxtaposition and the worry that comes in those situations.
Yes. Okay. Well, I gotta hear it then. I know
Oh,
it just sounds like it'll be perfect.
it's fun.
Definitely. And what has been your biggest accomplishment so far in your life?
I don't know. I think just sticking it through. I think this was my dream as a kid. And if I could just tell little me everything we'd be doing right now, I think she'd just have such an easier run. And I just wish I could give that to her because I just think I'm living it now. And I think just not giving up is probably my biggest accomplishment.
Okay. And since you talk about your younger self, what is one thing that you would tell your younger self right now, if you can go back and talk to your younger self?
Just don't be so hard on yourself and love yourself because the world is not always going to. And I think you really need to have yourself and everything is going to be okay. Because if you don't give up, then you will always achieve something.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Is there anything that you would like to tell the audience right now?
No, I mean, I just definitely go stream Airplane Mode when it comes out on July 21st and get the entire album when it comes out in August. And I'm excited. I'm dropping a music video when I drop the single. So definitely go stream that. That'll be on my YouTube channel with my new short film, Ophelia.
Okay. And now you have to give me a question for the next interviewer. What would that question be? You don't know who they are or anything. You just give any kind of question.
What song puts you in the mood?
Okay. All right. That's got to be for the next interviewer. Now, that's going to be something good to talk about.
A little spicy, you know?
Yes. So, what advice can you give to somebody that wants to get into acting and into music?
I think just create with your friends. You know, don't take it too seriously. I think, especially when you're first starting, it's just practice and it's muscle memory and it's working and it's having fun. Don't forget to have fun because the first person you should be impressing is yourself. Because if you want to consume it, somebody else will too.
Oh, I like that. But I was looking through your pages and checking you out and everything. How do you come up with your fashion? How do you keep up with the trend?
You know what? I don't really try to keep up with trends too much. I think my mom was a little fashionista growing up, and I think now that like the 90s and the Y2K and everything's back, I pull a lot of reference from how I saw her when I was younger. So that's been fun. And then there's obviously characters and people on TV and stuff that I love, like Alexa Demie. I love her style. I loved Maddie's style in Euphoria. And I think
Mhm.
I'm just an accumulation of my environment and the movies I grew up in, like Catherine from Cruel Intentions. But I just think for me, it's very fun. It's very dark. It's very sexy. I'm a little bit of a gothic Barbie. So I just like to lean that persona.
Okay. All right. I love that. And who are some artists that you would love to work with, or who can you say that's on would be on this album with you?
Oh my God, you know, I definitely pull a lot of reference from artists like Janet Jackson or, you know, an early Madonna, and I love them so much. I would love to work with them. And if I'm talking about somebody more in the mainstream now, I would love to work with someone like Charlie XCX. I think she's such an icon and she does so many different things, and I just love how she plays with her music, and it's not always so serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else is next for you? Because I know you do the acting, the modeling, and then you have the album coming up. But what do you see yourself in the next couple of years?
You know, I just want to go bigger with all of it. I have an amazing team and an amazing agent, and you know, I'm cultivating quite the fan base, and I think they're so sweet and so loyal, and I'm just loving the progression. So if I can have more of what I have now on a bigger scale, that's what I want. I want the big screen. I want major tours. I want leading TV shows, HBO. You know, I want all of it.
Okay. Well, like they say, speak it into existence. You manifest it, it'll come to you.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. But has been your biggest inspiration in your life?
You know, I would have to say my mom, as cliche as that sounds. I think she didn't necessarily have the easiest hand, but she's always persevered and she's always come out on top and she's always made it happen, regardless of the type of situation that happened. She always had it like that, and she just made sure we were taken care of. And I love her so much, and we've grown into such a unit, and I always look up to her.
Okay. Well, and I think that's a great inspiration, your mom, because that's who you start with. So that's
100%.
awesome. Now, I
100%.
asked everybody this because I'm doing 100 voices, 100 stories. And all you have to do is complete this sentence. Your voice matters because,
You matter. I think, you know, I think sometimes we get lost in the noise and we
Mhm.
forget that our voice and our intuition is first and foremost the most important. And it's so easy to be persuaded or feel shit on by other people, or, you know, take everyone else's opinions before your own, and kind of like take you away from who you truly are. And I think that you need to listen to yourself first.
That's right. I always say that. That's why I started this. It's like your voice matters. You matter. Everybody have a story. Everybody have a journey. So
100%. Nobody matters more than anybody else. I think we all as a cult, as a yeah, we all as a community, as an out on earth, I think, you know, we're all here living life and trying to survive and trying to excel and trying to chase dreams and trying to accomplish things. And I think we all just need to remember that we're all just human and we all matter. And I think that's just so important.
that's right. But we talked about your accomplishments, we talk about your goals,
Mhm.
but everybody goes through challenges. What's one of the biggest challenges that you had to go through that kind of made you the person that you are today?
I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but I've already touched on it in another interview, so I guess it's kind of out there. Um, when I was young, I was human trafficked as like a kid. So
I'm
I do,
sorry to hear that.
it's okay. You know, I think I've healed so much and I think I understand the situation a lot more as I've grown as an adult and as I've forgiven a lot of people and forgiven myself because you take on a lot of ownership when you're put in those situations really young. But I think it did groom me a lot for the way the way I interact and the way I present myself in society. And, for me, even with this album, a lot of the themes kind of touch on stuff like that. And it was just about taking my own power back and finding my own voice again and not being who I was groomed to be for other people and kind of being who I want to be for myself, for other people, and for me.
Wow. And I definitely want to send my prayers to you. But looking at you, and you had going through that experience, that's like right now, listening to you, watching you, it's grateful that that you're still moving and you're still going every day and you're not letting it define the person that you are. But I'm
Yeah.
so sorry and prayers to you.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm lucky enough to have an amazing support system and family and friend group and therapist. So I think I don't want to say that I'm happy any of that happened, but I definitely can love the person I became today because of and in spite of situations I've been through and things that have transpired. I think it's just gonna make me stronger and hopefully I can inspire other people in similar situations or situations that are as heavy.
Yes, and I hope someone get that message today. That's what this is all about, inspiring each other, listening to each other's testimony. That's why I love to do this because, again, everybody has a story to tell, everybody has a journey, and your testimony is something.
Yeah.
So definitely prayers to you. Stay strong. Keep going. I love it. I mean, I don't love the situation, but I love that you're you're strong and you're going forward and you got the support system. So that is what I love about it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a good life. I got my people and I got God and I have the universe and I'm just very grateful and thankful and I'm just ready for what's next.
Amen. Well, I'll definitely be checking out your music. I can't wait for it to drop. Tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can get your music when it comes out.
Yeah, so my Instagram is the Chloe Madison Experience. All the pre-save links are in my bio, and music will be available on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere that you get music.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for interviewing with me today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for opening up to me today, and giving us a testimony and sharing a little bit about your journey. I appreciate you.
No, thank you so much for giving me a safe place to speak. I really enjoyed this conversation. You were amazing.
Thank you. Well, you have a blessed day today, and then I'll let you know what the next interviewer said about what song puts you in the mood.
You.
All right. Well, you have a good one.
You too, babe.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of 100 Voices, 100 Stories. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, every person has a story, and it all begins with you. I'm Cece, and I'll see you next time.